Well, in a regular setting, the main comedy club model the main comedian model is basically you're gonna get passed at a club to try to audition for a club to perform for 3 minutes at midnight. And hopefully, and then they'll call you and say we're available to get like I don't know $25 to $50, and that's where really people would break their teeth, and I get it. And you get to that point where you're opening okay, and then you're like, all right, I'm at this club and it's great. And then eventually you hopefully go open it on the road for someone, which means that you go to a weekend in Cincinnati or something for 5 shows from Thursday to Sunday. At the beginning, you probably make like, I don't know, $500 maybe. You probably have to drive your way there. If you have a car, then okay, you get more street cred. Then it's the middle opening or emceeing, and then middling is like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes in the middle, and then you have the headlining set where again it's probably $1,000, $1,500 type of thing. I don't know if it's again, it's obviously different because like once you're a name, you sell tickets, you split that with the door with the club. But for myself, I'm just like, all right, I can do a dinner at a synagogue and be like, all right, I can make what people would make in a weekend.
Yeah, so I'm curious about that. So yeah, so it's you don't have to say the exact number, but they're paying like a few $1,000s for a gig like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also and again, it's more. Again, it's a different situation, obviously, but like, yeah, you get paid. It's commensurate of like what happens, what they want you to do sometimes, but like it's also like there's schlepping costs and all that. But to be able to get, hey, I'm doing this dinner for this thing on this date, and yeah,
it's a corporate model in a way.
It's a corporate model, but not as crappy as a corporate.
But also, it's I think it's a grass is greener situation because I know there's probably a ton of comics out there pursuing the road gigs and those opportunities, but they wish they had a community to build off of and build from. And they don't, it's not like they have they don't have access to a community that's wanting to book them in this sort of internal space first.
You're just feeding the Kanye right now, but no, I'm kidding. But no, I think it's.
But you know what I'm saying? They're
the network of.
Look at Joe Coy, right?
Yeah.
I don't really know his story in depth, but it does seem that he's built up this organic following in the Filipino community, making jokes about the Filipino culture and his family.
Russell Peters.
What?
Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah, and just like talking about themselves, and they built it very organically from a community that's very tight-knit and controls everything.
But listen. I posted recently that I'm doing comedy full time, and I got like 700 likes. I felt like 700 likes on Facebook, and I was like, wow, I feel like I just got engaged. Like it was, it was really nice to see that, and like I'm realizing, I'm like, wow, I really have a lot of people that are like, that's the crazy thing about the internet.
It should have been only Simchas, you and a mic.
You don't. You're gonna explain only Simchas to your crowd.
Only Simchas. Now that's fine.
There's a website back in the day.
Yeah.
And when
you should have put a little shade on
when when bad things happen, it would be only atzvos.com.
That look of the engaged colleague.
Well, we always had the idea of when
more to the side of
it's like her back's about to collapse.
No, but also they wouldn't touch for the picture.
Yeah.
So you got to do these. You're like a couple standing this apart is more gross than making out, to be honest. Like really, I would rather you just make out in front of me versus. That
would be hilarious. Nobody had the balls to do that, but an only Simchas pic of them just like going at it at the engagement party would be hilarious.
I'm trying to think what's the only Simchas equivalent now, but I guess there isn't one.
There's a million of. Well, where you just post like your engagements.
It's my Simchas.com. Is there something? I don't know.
Oh, anyway.
No, but no. So I very much I think it is about honing your audience. That like I think it's I don't know if it's Conan O'Brien said it about like Pete Holmes that or something like that because Conan O'Brien gave Pete Holmes his show or something for a time, and it's like eventually you just do your thing, keep doing what you're doing. Like hopefully you have enough awareness that like is this working? Like there's a lot of deluded comedians out there, and you're just like. Dude, you can't tell. Like comedy, at least you can tell very early on, unless you're very deluded, you can tell this is going well. And sometimes you do get Hungarian Jews who are just like, we don't really laugh. And you're like, we enjoyed it. You want to tell your face? Like,
Well, we had a whole conversation last week about a Rick Rubin interview where he said, keep doing you. But that is a dangerous piece of advice for someone who doing them isn't working. It's about being self-aware.
Have the awareness. Yeah. Again, listen, not to body shame. I joined the gym because I'm just like, I looked at myself on video and I'm just like, I don't want to really look so pregnant.
That's fat phobic.
It's also Jewish phobic. But,
I told someone recently I think I have body dysmorphia, and he goes, "Oh, what? Like your nose?" I'm
pretty sure
my weight.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, somebody said I saw somebody post on Facebook. They said a friend said their kid said they saw a picture of Rambo or something, and they said, "Oh, Daddy, that's you." Or they said, "Daddy," and I posted, I said, "Yeah, my son did that with Humpty Dumpty." So,
Daddy, that's you.
Or something like Daddy. I'm like, oh boy.
So Pete Holmes is an interesting person to bring up because he sort of started out as a Christian comedian, like very clean. I mean, I might be.
I think
you're
a Christian person more.
Well, Christian, right? Yeah, Christian person. But at the beginning of his career, I think he wanted to be a clean person, and he was doing a lot of church gigs. I think that was kind of like when he took off. But now, he'll play to theaters, and his material is sort of like religious. Like he'll talk about God and the spirit and that whole experience.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't really call him a Christian comedian anymore.
No.
Like, do you have ambitions to transcend the Jewish audience and just make jokes generally, or are all your jokes?
I honestly, a lot of the reason I come up with the jokes I have is because, like I said, being part of a modern Orthodox Jew, just so much of my life that you're so focused. I'm just like, all right, you get up. All right, got to put this on. All right, got to wash my hands. Got to go to the bathroom. Say that blessing. Got to put on tefillin. Got to put on whatever. Like it's so much. There's so many aspects, and I think that's also why Judaism is the way it is, because it's like, here's a constant reminder, by the way, you're Jewish. Meaning, like, as much as, not to evangelize Judaism a little bit, but which is ironic, but I really think that's the whole point of why Judaism is such an action-based religion, because it's literally like, and at its heart, here's what you're doing all the time, constantly. Why do we make a blessing on food? Always think about, by the way, this isn't like God controls things. Always think about this. So my immediate thought is about Jewish stuff often. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, flying with a baby, I'll have a general joke about that. But I would really love to have, let's say, my 90 minutes of material, or a consistent 90 minutes of material for, let's say, an Orthodox room or conservative or reform. But again, that's also like, how inside baseball can I get? So about 40 minutes, let's say, for all kinds of Jewish audiences, and then at least 30 minutes of regular material for a corporate gig where you're performing at a law firm, and they're like, so no one's gonna get your jokes if you talk about davening for too long.
So the reason I ask is because when you're considering, do I want to do this full time, and thinking about the finances, like in terms of growth, like there is a certain ceiling if your audience is Orthodox Jewish.
Right.
So when you're thinking of like, where am I going to be in 20 years? I would imagine, I'd think like, yeah, like that will be my base, but I also want to be able to play
so
completely different audiences just so I can make more money at some point.
No, that's definitely a good point. And I also I'm not trying to alienate people when it's like, I'm making a reference that you didn't get,
No, yeah, I know.
I remember making a joke. I remember doing a show, I think it was NYU on a Friday night thing. And they said, don't make a joke about, it's going to alienate non-Orthodox people or something like that.
Of course.
So it was like,
the Hillel who said that?
I forgot who it was, but it was like, don't make a joke. So
no, not
like,
the Hillel, because they're not Orthodox.
You can make a joke about
Hillel's pluralistic. So they said, that's going to alienate the non-Orthodox.
I have no idea. I don't know. Whatever they
keep up, Boja. Yeah.
But they said, listen. They said you can't make a joke about it. So it's like, I can make a joke about having a tefillin day, but I kind of talk about putting on tefillin the next morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would be. But like again, if I'm doing a show where
tefillin date, you said tefillin date.
Tefillin date.
I like that.
I did not coin that. You've never heard that?
I have. I thought you said day.
Oh, okay.
So it was a tefillin day.
That's a momentum breaker right there.
I'm sorry. Anyways, but
sit there for a minute.
Should we do an ad?
Yeah, an ad read. But yeah, so they said to you not to alienate.
They said not to alienate. So I just like, if I'm doing like a show and it's like, hey, don't make this joke. I'm like, listen, if I make a joke about Avatar, the original one, and like 3 people didn't see it, I'm gonna make that joke. So like, it's not my fault that you don't get the reference. But so I don't specifically like I do if I know I'm doing a synagogue of this kind of crowd, I'm gonna be like, guys, you're gonna get this, right? This is because I'm trying to tailor the material. If I do a Chabad and they say, by the way, they don't know as much of background stuff beyond Pesach, Rosh Hashanah, and stuff like that, I'm gonna try to navigate those waters
because you want to do well.
I want to do well. I don't, but I do want to have a repertoire where all of a sudden I get a corporate gig and say, okay, there's 6 people that are Jewish. Everyone else is not Jewish. You need 25 minutes during lunch. Go.
Right.
And I can't just be like, you guys know when you're making a blessing on Oreos, but you say the wrong bracha. So
you could also have an alternate set that provides more context to the things you do talk about with an affiliated crowd that just gives a little more to it. Like you might have to explain to a non-Jewish crowd that we make blessings on everything. You could still get them to the
Well,
funny. It
I
just requires a little more.
I struggle with that though
you
because
know?
I struggle with how much because you know why I struggle with that because it's such a if you can say something in one word like an inside like Kent code. This was a game that we played in camp back in the day. Kent on Shabbos afternoons because we couldn't watch TV.
Right.
Hence the name of this special. Remind me after Shabbos.
We're
But
gonna destroy
talk about that.
Kent's Instagram this week.
Kent Instagram is really
It's
going to
gonna
be
go
big.
on fire for us.
No, but I really sorry, what was I saying before that with the
Well, that if there's a crowd that isn't going to be plugged into your
code,
really
the code.
Jewish
Yeah.
inside baseball
how
material,
much do you explain?
Right.
That's a tricky thing.
you have to
because-
pick. Right?
But not just that, meaning like I can make this funny, but is it only fun? My biggest struggle is this only funny if you are experiencing it? Like talking about keeping kosher on a vacation
Yes.
does not mean the same. Meaning when you go on vacation and you keep kosher, like I can't relate to people that aren't keeping kosher because they're like yeah, you can just eat anywhere. They're like no, you have to eat what you brought.
But you
I
have
think,
to.
I
Yeah,
think
you
you're
tweak
limiting. I think you're limiting yourself, though. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
going to interject because I think there probably is a universal joke there that
For sure.
400 million people could get about sort of whatever it is going on vacation with your little eccentricities and demands that you could open it up.
Oh no,
them.
for sure.
It just requires more work.
No, you need
Yeah,
you need an alpha and a beta side of each testing probably. And say this is the version I do for this. This is the version I do for this, which I don't do enough.
No, but even with Jewish audiences, like if you brought it to why is this funny for me?
I don't know because
you know,
meaning to me, there's something about if I say to you, I am a Galila guy. That doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. If you are,
Isn't the joke you have a Galila body, not a Hagba body?
No, I'm a Galila build.
But
I'm a
how,
Galila
how
build.
Mike
build, not a
Birbiglia
Hagba
do
build.
it? That's funny. No, it's really funny. But how Mike Birbiglia would do it, he would sort of like lead up to like what that means when I say that.
No, that's
sort of,
that's definitely an interesting thing, and you may be. I may be selling myself too short. In
Likely
terms of,
Michael's wrong. Don't worry about it.
No, I think it's a good point because I don't know. I just think sometimes for word economy that it's a lot easier to say I do Glila, the guy who rolls up the Torah, not the guy who raises the Torah, which could be we may have just solved the way I can tell that joke in a non-Jewish or a more secular environment.
Yeah.
But I also don't know what made it.
But I don't even mean the audience necessarily. Just like for the joke itself. Like when I think thinking about Pete Holmes talking about writing comedy, Mike Birbiglia, like and I give Ami garbage for this also. Just like sort of like it seems like they'll spend years thinking through like what is the kernel of truth in this thing that I'm trying to tell, and like those are the jokes that eventually sort of make it to the special or the show or whatever. Like
That's interesting.
like just as joke writing, like figuring out like Galila gets that laugh right off.
But what do you mean I don't do that?
But meaning
What's
like
the garbage I get?
But,
No, like I give you like I think we did like a session once where like you were talking about why the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, what was funny about it,
Right.
and you sort of went with like the impressions, which is like always funny. You're always gonna get a laugh 10 out of 10 times,
Yeah.
but like trying to think through like what is really funny about this.
Yeah.
Just like
To me, what was funny about it was that people believe Johnny. Well, here's what the problem with the joke was. I said people believe Johnny because he sounds sexy. It has nothing to do with the trial. It's just that when he gets up there, he sounds cool. But the truth is, the reason that joke
you
doesn't
should just said savvy at the end of it. Savvy.
It's just like, and then initially I wanted to be a musician, not an actor. But the reason it doesn't work is because people believe Johnny because of the case.
okay.
And so that I'm up against. Like, it's not that the details of the case are ambiguous. It's so clear that she's psycho.
Yeah.
So every time I tried to say one point, it was watered down or diminished and undermined
By the truth.
by the next point. But the impression was funny. So I made another joke off of it, which was that I give Amber Heard a lot of credit for single-handedly ending the Me Too movement. Because for a long time, all we heard was believe all women.
Yeah.
Believe all women. And then Johnny Depp came along and said, not all of them.
And then
And that
funny.
always works.